Welcome to the Identity After the Uniform series. This is episode 10, Becoming Someone You Can Trust Again. Let's finish this properly, because if you've made it this far, you already know something. This isn't just about leaving the military, it's about what happens after, and more importantly, who you become when everything you once relied on is gone. I've lived this, medically discharged in 2014, chronic pain in both my legs, and I remember the moment everything changed. The welfare officer turned up and took my ID card, just like that, gone. And in that moment, I didn't just lose a job, I lost my identity. And when that happens, it doesn't just affect your career, it affects everything. How you see yourself, how you show up, how you think, how you feel. And for me, that turned into something much deeper, because I genuinely believed I was failing as a mother, failing as a wife, failing at life outside the military. And what made it even harder to understand was that on the surface, I looked capable. Every business I built, I was good at it. I could create, I could grow, I could deliver. But at the end, it always collapsed, and I couldn't understand why. Until I started seeing the pattern. It wasn't my ability, it wasn't my effort, it was my identity. I wasn't aligned, and that's what this whole series has been about. Awareness. That moment where you realize something isn't right. Understanding, when you start to recognize what's actually happening. Regulation, where you take control of your behavior again. Identity, where you rebuild who you are. And finally, stability, where things start to hold. Not because life is perfect, but because you are stable in how you think, stable in how you act, stable in who you are becoming. And this is the part most people don't talk about, because they focus on outcomes, jobs, money, success. But none of that holds if you don't trust yourself. And that's what this comes down to, self-trust. Because when you lose the military, you don't just lose structure, you lose the system that held you accountable, the system that told you what to do, who to be, where to go. And when that disappears, you have to become that system yourself. And that's hard, because no one prepares you for it, no one explains it. So you try to rebuild externally, new job, new direction, new goals. But internally, you're still disconnected, still uncertain, still trying to figure out who you are. And that's why things don't stick, because identity drives everything. And until that's rebuilt, nothing else holds. But here's the shift. You don't find identity. You build it. Through behavior, through standards, through what you do consistently, even when you don't feel like it. And over time, that changes everything, because you stop relying on external structure and you start creating internal structure. You become more consistent, more stable, more certain, not because life gets easier, but because you do. And that's where the rebuild becomes real, not when everything is perfect, but when you trust yourself again, to act, to follow through, to handle what's in front of you. That's stability. And that's what this whole journey has been about. Psychology, so if you've recognized yourself in this series, and how to rebuild yourself, confused, most people think they're stuck because they lack motivation. You're not failing, but that's not going through a process that no one explained properly until now. They're trying to change their life without rebuilding who they are, recently left, and that never subscribe to this channel because you can't consistently act because this series is built for you. And if you want to be part of the upcoming, you might feel motivated for a week and share your experience as a veteran. Comment below or get in touch because your story matters and someone else needs to hear it.